Welcome back, everybody. I'm Rachel with Concrete Farm to School, and we're here in my kitchen, and today I'm going to show you how to make rhubarb apple crisp. So we have a lot of local rhubarb coming out of the gardens right now, and we actually got the rhubarb for your recipe kits from some local folks who gave us from their gardens. So that's really awesome. Rhubarb is the stem of the plant. It has a really big leaf, and you probably have some in your yard, or your neighbor probably has some in their yard, so look around, you might be surprised. So we're gonna make a rhubarb apple crisp today with about 3 cups of rhubarb, 2 apples, and then a nice crisp topping. First thing we're going to do is cut up our produce. We just want nice chunks of rhubarb that are all about the same size. Should have put something under my cutting board to keep it from rolling away, sliding away. Okay, so there's my rhubarb. I'm gonna put that into my bowl. And then I'm gonna do my apples, and you want your apples to be peeled. I'm gonna grab my compost bin. I peel apples by pulling towards me and going in a spiral, but you can peel them away from you, you can peel them in straight ways, whatever works for you. I kind of get a kick out of having one long piece of apple peel. Okay, and then, well, I guess I'll need that for the course. To cut up an apple, I use the tunnel and cut it straight down in half. Notice that when I do the tunnel, my fingers are perfectly straight, so they're not in the way of the knife. Then I do that again on each half. So set your knife on the apple, make your tunnel, and go straight down. And do it again. And then we want to take the core out. So I hold the apple like this with my finger in bear claw mode, and the core away from me. And I angle my knife and just kind of cut straight down so that I cut the core out. And it's like a little triangle. And then I can put that in the compost bin. So I'm going to do that to the rest of my apple. And we can have a little bit of peeling in our crisp, that's gonna be okay. But I don't really want these seeds. Okay, so then to chop my apple, I'm gonna use my bear claw and grip my knife well, and I'm just gonna go straight down, and it'll cut into little even slices, like that. Okay, so we're gonna do that to the rest of our apples. Okay, so now to our fruit mix, we're gonna add some sugar and some flour. And the sugar obviously helps sweeten it up, which with rhubarb you need to add some sugar. And then the flour helps kind of absorb some of the juices while it's cooking and thicken it up so that it's delicious. So we're going to add 3/4 of a cup of sugar, which I forgot to get out the sugar. I knew there was something. So I have a 1/2 cup measure. And we need 3/4 cup, so I'm gonna add a 1/2 cup, and then I'm going to add 1/4 of a cup, because there's 2 quarters and a 1/2. And we need 1 more quarter. And that is how it goes. So 3/4 of a cup of sugar, and then 3 tablespoons of flour. And we can get rid of our compost. 1, 2, 3. Remember, when you're measuring, you want it level on your measuring spoon, not too high and not too low. Okay, so we're gonna stir that up and make sure that everything is coated. So we're gonna make our crisp topping now. The first thing we're gonna measure is 3/4 cups of oats. I have my 1/4 cup measure. 1, 2, 3. And then we're gonna add to that 1/3 cup of flour. And I'll level that like so. 1/3 cup of flour. And 1/4 cup of melted butter, which I have melted in the microwave already. Ready to go. A teaspoon of cinnamon. I'm going to take the shaker thing off so that oh no, it doesn't fit. Okay, so my 1 teaspoon doesn't fit, so I'm going to use 2 half teaspoons because that does fit. And a 1/2 teaspoon of nutmeg. Actually, I'm going to go a little light on the nutmeg because it's a pretty strong flavor, so I'm going to do most of a 1/2 teaspoon. Okay, and then the last thing that we're going to add is honey, which I forgot to get out of the cupboard. So here we go. We're gonna do 1/3 cup of honey. Sweeten it up. Which is gonna be most of the honey that I have here. Sometimes it's good to just stick it in the microwave for like 10 seconds to kind of help it get more liquidy and it'll come out easier. Make sure you take the lid off first and only do it for 10 seconds at a time. So we'll just let that liquefy a little bit more. Okay. Oh, yeah. So the reason you want to be careful is that sometimes your bottle melts a little bit. So there we go. 1/3 cup of honey. So 10 seconds was almost too long, so maybe just go for 5 at a time. It heats up really fast because it's so sugary. Okay, so now my honey's in there. I'm gonna stir that all up. So, while we've been doing that, oh, I was also gonna add just a pinch of salt for flavor. So you can do that too. Almost forgot. So you're gonna bake your crisp in something like this, a square metal pan, or if you don't have one of those, a cast iron pan also works. Make sure that it's actually an oven safe pan. Another thing that would work would be a sort of casserole dish like this, or a glass pan, usually shallower than this, but something like that. So you can see what you have around your house, and I bet you have something that'll work. The most important thing is that it's oven safe. So we're gonna grease our pan a little bit before we get started here. This is the dish that I melted the butter in, and I'm just gonna rub a paper towel in that leftover butter that I couldn't get out, and then smear that into all of the corners of my pan. And this probably isn't strictly necessary with this crisp, but I don't like doing dishes, and I especially don't like washing burned things off of pans that go in the oven, so I like to, better safe than sorry. So we're gonna grease that, and then we're gonna get our fruit out, and there's that fruit looking good. So we're gonna pour that into our pan. Get all that sugar in there too. And then we're gonna top that with our caramely crisp topping. And if you want it a little crispier, you can add more oats and less honey, or, you know, crisp is a recipe that you can really just adapt to whatever you're doing and to your tastes. So I've been preheating my oven to 350 degrees. Actually, I haven't been preheating my oven to 350 degrees. I'm going to preheat my oven to 350 degrees, and then I'm gonna put this crisp in there for 45 to 50 minutes until the fruit is tender and bubbly and the crisp starts to look done. Okay, it's been an hour and it's finally time to take our crisp out of the oven, so let's see what happened in there. Oh, it looks so delicious. There it is. And it's gonna be really hot, but I'm gonna try to find a bite here. Mmm. Mmm. That's really good. I'm glad you get to enjoy this too this week. Thanks for joining me for this little cooking video. And I'll see you next week with our next mystery recipe kit. Have a good week, everybody.